Hi everyone, my name is Brittany with Creating Writing Warriors. I am a teacher author and I own a Teachers Pay Teachers store titled Creating Writing Warriors. As the title entails, I create mostly writing instruction products for teachers to use in their classroom, and my grade range is typically 3rd through 6th. I have a couple of products in 2nd grade and a couple of products in 7th and above, but the majority of my grades that I produce products for is 3rd through 6th. My goal today is to go through one of my top selling products, which is the fantasy fiction story packet. I'm going to show you two versions of that packet today. I'm going to show you a packet that's not already done, and then I'm going to show you an example that I created. I like this product because it is so versatile. You can use it for a lot of different things. It goes well as an early finisher activity, so if you have some students that get done a little bit sooner than the rest of the class, especially with their writing instruction materials, then this is a good thing for them to work on. It pairs really well with a reading unit. If you're doing fiction or if you're doing a fantasy genre unit, then this is a good instruction, or this is a good material for you to use for that. It also is a really good supplemental product to use for a creative writing unit. So if you're already doing creative writing unit and you need a lighter day, or you have only 20 minutes of writing instruction because there's a field trip or something, this is a really good material to use. Students can go at their own pace. It's an independent packet. They can take it home and work on it, all that good stuff. Without further ado, let's look at this packet. So we can see both versions here, the unedited one and the one that I worked on. And so the first page has my fantasy fiction story, and then it has a space for the student's name. You can see my name there. Then on the next page, there's directions. Basically, the directions are just work at your own pace, but use the teacher's guidelines. So if you wanted everybody to kind of stay on the same page and you wanted to say, okay, everybody do pages 1, 2, and 3 today, then they would be able to pace the way that you would like them to. And then it just tells them that the clouds will tell them the directions for that page and give them a little insight to the fantasy genre. And so we move over to step 1, and during step 1 they choose their main character. You can see the information in the cloud, you can see the space for them to come up with their main character, and then in this little box at the bottom you can see the bolded words, which are common story elements. So here we have protagonist. You can see the bolded word and then the definition for it, and so that's just to remind them of story elements and keep them using that language while they're creating their story. I'm going to switch to my version now so we can see how that looks in real life. Okay, so I chose my main character, and my main character's name is Ed. So that's all I did, is write the word Ed under my character's name. Moving on to step 2, they get to draw their main character, which is really nice for those students that are more engaged when the assignment involves drawing. So here, I am not a drawer. Drawing is not my forte. So draw your main character. This is my main character, Ed. Then we move on to step 3. During step 3, they choose their setting, and so you can see in the cloud that there are two descriptions of what the setting of a fantasy genre typically has. Typically, fantasy settings are either in an incredibly magical place, so like the Star Wars galaxy or the magical kingdom, which you see that being referenced there, or it is a place inside of the realistic world. So thinking of the rabbit hole in Alice in Wonderland or Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. When they are doing this page, they get to draw and they get to describe, and they're in parallel with each other. So if you have a student that would rather draw first and explain later, then they get to do that. If you have a student who can picture it in their mind and describe it with words and then go back and draw it, they can do it whichever way works better for them. And you can see my castle and my description of the castle, which I will use later in my story. Then we have step 4. In step 4, they get to choose their villain or their antagonist. So you see that bolded word and then the definition below. For this one, I didn't leave it open-ended. I gave them a variety of choices to use. This just makes it easier for those students that have a hard time with more choice. This gives them choice, but only a selected few, rather than having too many options and them being a little bit overwhelmed by that. So you can see there's just a group of common villains or common antagonists and antagonistic forces, and they get to choose theirs. I chose a dragon. And then just like we did with our main character, step 5, we get to draw our villain. So here's my very unique dragon. And then we move on to step 6. We've identified our main character, we've identified our villain, and now we need to kind of talk about how those two interact with each other, how they come to be. So we get to choose the problem and the solution. The cloud kind of explains problem and solution using the example of 3 Little Pigs. That's easy for students to recognize because it's a familiar text, and you see the correlation between problem and solution pretty easily. So that's my problem, that's my solution. Then we move on to step 7, which is to write their story. So they're going to take all of the information from the last 6 pages, which you can see that in the cloud, that direction, and they're going to create their story. So they're going to introduce their main character, they're going to introduce the setting, they're going to have that problem and solution where their villain or their antagonist and their main character or protagonist interact, and they're going to have that solution come through. So there is 2 pages provided for their story. So if you have a student that writes a little bit more than the space provided on this page, there is a second page with lines for them to continue on to that paper. And so you can see my story or the beginning of my story written here. And that is the conclusion of the fantasy fiction story packet. Just another note about the packet, one reason why I think it sells so well and I think it's very useful for teachers in grades 3 through 6 is because students can use it more than once. So if they really enjoy this activity or if they finish this activity early and they're excited about it, they can always grab the same packet, just a copy of the packet, and they can create a different story with a different main character, a different antagonist, and a different problem and solution. So it can be used a couple times throughout the classroom. But that is the short synopsis of that product. It is available in my Teachers Pay Teachers store, which is teacherspayteachers.com/creating writing warriors. I'll leave a link below. There are plenty of other products in my store if you would like to go look at them. If you do end up purchasing this packet and you use it in your classroom, just drop a comment below and tell me how it went, what you liked about it, any suggestions or any feedback. That would be greatly appreciated, and then what grade you use it with. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you for hanging out with me and checking this product out, and have a great rest of your day.